Welcome to a very special episode for Poland Syndrome Awareness Day 2026. I'm Giselle, joining you from South Africa, and today we are spanning the globe to New Jersey to meet the Baker family. We're talking about the universal journey of raising a confident, athletic child with Poland syndrome. This is proof that while our condition is rare, our community is global and we are here for each other no matter the borders. Welcome back, everyone, to the PIP podcast. We've officially started filming and recording our podcasts again for this year. So we're really, really excited to sit down with the Baker family today and chat a little bit about their experience as parents with the son who has Poland syndrome. And then obviously we're joined by Connor as well, who is the son with Poland syndrome. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation. And I think this one is for every parent who's ever laid awake or stressed about, their child, which is such a normal parent thing to do. And just for every kid who also just needs to hear that everything's going to be fine, they're going to be fine. And also just hear a little bit about what's great about having Poland syndrome. So thank you so much to the Baker family for joining me. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So firstly, just a little bit of, a little bit about the Baker family. You guys are based in New Jersey. How is that going? How is life there? Tell us a little bit about your household so, we can learn a little bit about you guys.
Well, right now it's cold in New Jersey. The weather is really crazy. Last week it was in the 80s and now we're back down to the 30s. And our household is pretty normal, just every single day, something new running around between work, basketball, going to practice. It's the three of us, me, Kyle, my husband, Kyle, and Connor. It's just the three of us, and we have two dogs.
Oh, amazing. What dogs do you have?
We have a Rhodesian Ridgeback. Ooh. Her name is Chloe. And then we have a little, Shih Tzu dog. And his name is Dibu, after Dibu Martinez, because I'm Argentinian. And so he's the goalie of Argentina's national team.
I love that. I'm Portuguese, so I'm very clued up with the football and everything. But my husband and I, so we've been together since school, since we were about 15, 16. And our babies are our two little dogs. That is our household, is just the two of us and two little dogs. So I'm happy to hear that you guys have dogs as well. Yeah. And obviously Connor. But that sounds great. I'm sorry for the terrible weather. It is the opposite for us here. It's very hot, although it's raining outside now, but I'm sweating right now. So we'll send you guys warmth.
Thank you.
But let's get into it. So, let's start at the very beginning. A lot of people with Poland syndrome, or who have a family member that has Poland syndrome, oftentimes don't even know what Poland syndrome is. So I just got off filming a podcast episode with a lady who's 30 years old. She only just discovered what Poland syndrome was 6 months ago. So she's, been living her whole life not knowing what it is. And so I think the diagnostic story for everyone is really interesting and really important. So I want to hear a little bit about, how you guys found out that Connor had Poland syndrome, because you guys actually had no idea during the pregnancy, which is very normal because you actually can't pick it up during pregnancy. But I would like to hear a little bit about, that journey, that process, and, walk us through what happened when he was born and you guys noticed that there was something different.
Yeah, well, I'll let Kyle tell that story because I had an emergency C-section when Connor was born. So I didn't find out until after because, when you're in the C-section, they don't want to stress the mother out because they're cut open during the C-section. So I did hear the nurse telling my husband that, there's something wrong with his hand. So then when Kyle came over to me, I was like, what's wrong with his hand? What's wrong with his hand? He didn't say anything. He's like, nothing, babe. Don't worry about it. The nurses are working on it now. It's just something small. Don't worry about it. So he didn't tell me anything because he didn't want my heart rate or anything, pressure to drop or go up. So then I didn't find out until after the fact, but I'll let Kyle tell that story.
Yeah, I would love to hear from Kyle's perspective.
Yeah, so, can you hear me again?
Perfect.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, like you said, we didn't know. Everything was kind of rushed. He was actually supposed to be born at 3:20 Oh no, he's supposed to be born on the 24th, and he was born March 26th, but he was born at 3:24 in the morning. But they woke us up at 3:00 in the morning. Actually, we were sleeping in the hospital, and they woke us up because the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck. So they kind of made it seem like no big deal, but we were still like, "What's going on?" They told us to go back to sleep, and they came rushing in like 15 minutes later, and everything was like very rushed. So they had me like get changed, and they brought her into the surgery room. And by the time I came in, everything was already like ready to go. I just had to stay next to her head. And, before you know it, all of a sudden we hear him crying. He's out. And then the nurse just held up his hand and was like, "Oh, everything's fine except this." And then she pointed to his chest and said this. But I had no idea what that meant. That was all she said. Just, "This is the only thing wrong," So like she said, I didn't want to, make her nervous or get her worried. So I just like, "Oh, nothing." And then they kind of rushed me out of the room like, "Dad, you have to come with us. Come with us." So it was like a mix of emotions. Like, I'm like, "What's going on?" I don't even get to talk to her. They're like pulling me out. And it was like I said, it was 3:30 in the morning. So the hospital was empty. It was like the longest, quietest walk into like an empty hallway. And I'm like just dying to talk to her to see what's going on with her. And they took me to like the room where they take the newborns. I took a picture with Connor. They did the bracelet and everything. And then I couldn't find my way back to her. The whole walk back to her, I had no idea where I was going because I was like in such a rush to get back. I didn't wait for the nurse. So I finally, ran into her mother, my mother-in-law, in the hallway, and we finally found the room she was in. And I was still like, I don't even know the right word, nervous or like panicky, like what's going on, until I got to the room with her. And she's like, "What's going on?" And I told her what happened. She's like, "Who cares? I can't wait to see him." Like so excited. And that made me like, all right, everything's fine. I don't know why I've been panicking for the last 20 minutes, but everything's fine now.
Yeah.
And then we didn't find out for maybe 2 days into it what it actually was. We still had no idea. Even the doctors and nurses were like, "We're not really sure. We're trying to find out." So I think it was like 2 days maybe into it that we found out what even Poland syndrome was. We never heard of it, anything.
I mean, the birth experience is already quite stressful. And then you have the situation where the doctors are pointing something out and then not being able to explain it. So I can just imagine as a parent how chaotic and stressful that must have been. So you said it took about 2 days for you to find out. Was that for you to find out that there was an issue or that specifically it was Poland syndrome?
No. So at first they thought it was genetic. So they were like, they made me stay in the hospital with him extra days because they wanted to run a bunch of extra more tests on him. They were doing extra blood work on him. They send a genetic specialist to figure it out. And they just could not figure it out. And then finally, one of the doctors sent us to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia when he was probably like 2 or 3 months old. And we saw an orthopedic specialist in Children's Hospital Philadelphia. And that's when they finally told us that confirmed that he had Poland syndrome and it wasn't genetic. Like there's just no explanation, he said, for it. It's something that just happens. There's no explanation why it happened because I had a healthy pregnancy. Like nothing was wrong. He was even actually too big for me because I'm only 4'11". I'm like short. And so,
oh my word.
yeah. So they were already worried. They said, like, if he doesn't come out on his own, we're going to have to induce you because he's already so big. So everything was healthy. So we had no idea at all. And like I said, when they did the sonograms, the doctor just thought he was being stubborn and comfortable and just making a fist because he has all 5 knuckles. So,
wow.
But at least we got the diagnosis and the specialist gave us a plan and what he had, because when he was first born too, like his thumb was webbed to his palm of his hand. And then his middle finger and his pinky were webbed together as well. And then he had a little nub coming out of his ring finger, which the doctor thought it was his middle finger that was growing out incorrectly. So they said that they couldn't do anything for now, that they had to wait until at least after his first birthday to do the first procedure to correct the Poland syndrome in his hand.
Yeah. And it's quite interesting because Poland syndrome is so rare. And I think a lot of people who have Poland syndrome don't speak out about it because not a lot of medical professionals actually know what Poland syndrome is. And this is something that we find a lot in the Poland syndrome community is people will go 20, 30, 40, 60, 70 years with never having an official diagnosis. And then, now because of social media, they're seeing people that look like them and they're thinking, oh, wait, this is actually a thing. And so, to be able to have that diagnosis so early on is honestly life-changing. And the reason I say that is because, so I also have Poland syndrome. So I'm left chest affected. And when I was born, only when I started getting like kind of my baby fat on, my parents could see that there was something wrong on the left-hand side. So they took me to the hospital. The hospital accused my mom of abusing me because I could kind of like rotate my arm back. And I mean, that must be pretty horrifying for a parent, having these people say, oh my, you're dislocating your child's shoulder. What is wrong with you? But, they don't know. And luckily there was a doctor there who knew what Poland syndrome was. And he said to my parents, don't stress, because I wasn't hand affected or anything. They were like, she'll be fine. Try and prolong the surgery for as long as possible until she's 18, fully developed, and get her into swimming as soon as possible. Get her into swimming. It'll develop her upper body, get her into sports, which was the best thing that was ever recommended, which is why I loved Connor's story so much as well. And I could relate to it a lot. But I do think having that diagnosis when you're a baby, I think also puts the parents at ease as well, because you have the situation where what's happening and you're giving guidance on the next steps. So that's why I wanted to ask you guys as well, is when you got that diagnosis, how did that feel? Did it feel a little bit like a relief that you knew that this thing had a name? Or was it scary?
A little bit of both. For me personally, it was a little bit of both because finally we have a name for what he has and an explanation for what he has, even though there's not really an explanation in the sense where like they can't explain why it happened or how it happened. The explanation, well, it is what it is, but in the sense of scary and nervous because of the plan that was going to move forward, like knowing that my 2-month-old, when he turns 1, he's going to have his first surgery, and he was so little. So personally, to me, it was a relief to have a name for it. And then we could have Googled it and do our own research on it. No big deal. But nerve-wracking that he was going to, knowing that I was going to have to schedule his surgery when he turned 1 years old. How about you, Kai?
We're taking a quick 30-second break because today is about more than just conversation. It's about action. PIP-UK is the global bridge for our community, but we don't receive government funding. We rely on you. £10 covers a monthly connection Zoom for someone feeling isolated. £50 funds a one-on-one expert advocacy session for a family in crisis. And £100 sponsors a family at our specialist clinic. If our voices have helped you find yours, please hit pause and click the donation link in the show notes right now. Every gift helps us build the global blueprint for better care.
It was definitely good to know that there was something, because at first we had no idea. I remember the first couple of days they were telling us they thought that there was like a band that why he was like in her stomach got stuck on his hand, and that was why he was like it stunted the growth. Yeah, so there was all kinds of things like, they just kept coming in. We think it's this, we think it's so. It was really nice to finally know, like, okay, this is what it is, and we go from there.
Yeah. And I mean, what's crazy about Poland syndrome is that, there's all this research coming out now about how to identify it, but no one actually knows why it happens. It just happens. And if I'm not mistaken, 1 in 100,000 people have Poland syndrome. So it's extremely rare. And Connor, I will get to you when you were old enough to remember things, because right now you were not cognizant of what was happening. So I'm going to ask mom and dad the questions for now. But, moving on to the surgeries, talk me through that process. Like you were saying, Deborah, you got that reassurance that everything was going to be okay. But now you have to, almost think into the future of not just how this is going to affect Connor maybe socially, but also now physically with all the surgeries. That must have been quite daunting.
It was like very scary. having to get up. We had to get up because the children's hospital is in Philadelphia and we live in New Jersey. So it's like an hour and a half. It's not that far, which is great. But having to get up at like 3 a.m. because his appointment was at 5. He couldn't eat. He's a baby. He needs his milk. None of that. Like we had to like keep him. And then he had to like, they gave us instructions of the night before what to do. So we had to make sure that we did everything on the instructions. And I think both of our parents knew how like nervous and stressed out we were. So they both came with us. So both grandparents, my in-laws and my parents both came with us to the surgery and stayed with us the whole day. So, and then it's so sad because they give them what is called giggle juice, which is like a Xanax, I guess, for little kids to calm them down, because when they roll them away from the parents, the kids get scared. Sure. So he's like, his eyes are like rolling all over the place. He's, not knowing where he is. He's confused. And we're just keep rubbing his head, like, just go to sleep, please. Just go to sleep. Like everything's going to be okay. And it was sad. I went to the bathroom and I sobbed a little bit, like just getting all that stress out. And I think Kyle did too, honestly. Kyle definitely did. But then they did the surgery. It was really quick. Maybe because I was so stressed out and nervous. Like it seemed like the time went by so quickly, but it didn't. Like I think it was like a 3-hour surgery and stuff. And then when we were able to go to the recovery room, they were going to discharge him. But then when I went to go get him dressed and everything, like he was on fire. When I picked him up, he was on fire. So I'm like, I think he has a fever. And the nurse was saying like, no, he's fine. And I'm like, no. So I had to like advocate and like fight with the nurse to get me her supervisor to check his temperature. And he had a fever of 104. So then we ended up staying 2 nights at the children's hospital because they had to make sure that his fever would go down before we left. So that it was traumatic, the first surgery, to say the least, because I guess he must have had like some reaction to the anesthesia or something for him to get the fever.
Yeah.
So it was kind of traumatic.
The surgery in itself is quite a traumatic surgery. And then you have to deal with all of this as well. And then you're having that pushback with the nurses, and it's your baby. You're like, sometimes you know best kind of thing.
But like when you touched him, even like I told the nurse, just pick him up. And you could feel like he was a fireball. And then the first nurse was saying like, no, he's fine. I'm like, how do you say he's fine? He feels like he's on fire. But it got taken care of. So.
Yeah. And I know we'll get into this a little bit later on, but I know you mentioned that you have a big family and, your parents-in-laws were with you guys throughout this first surgery experience. Does that help a lot, having that support structure, knowing that, all of you guys were not really alone in this?
Yes and no. Definitely, like Kyle said, like so a little bit backstory, like, so when Connor was first born, he texted the whole family Connor was born with 8 fingers. So he texted the whole family and everyone came to the hospital at 3 a.m, like everybody. So the whole waiting room was all his sisters, his brothers, and my parents and my sister. So when he texted the family group, like he was giving them live updates, he texted, Connor was born with 8 fingers, and they're like, ha ha, and 2 thumbs. Like everybody thought he was joking. And Kyle was like, no, he was only born with 8 fingers.
I was always a prankster, that's why.
Yeah. So, so then they were there, they were supportive, very supportive, but they just kept saying like, God can't give you what you can't handle. Don't worry. And then they would like show us like different athletes or players that have only one hand. Some Yankee player, I forget his name, only had one hand, but he was the pitcher for the Yankees. And they just, and like, I literally, like Kyle said, I was like, who cares? It's only his fingers and his chest. Like, don't worry. He's going to be fine. We got him, So like, I think our family just kept trying to like make sure we were okay, because they probably thought we were hiding it. And then towards the end, we're like, guys, we're fine. I promise. Like, we don't need that support. But yeah, they were there for us the whole time. They didn't like leave us 1 second, always checking on him. And we live in a small town. It's called South Plainfield, New Jersey. So my mom lives 30 seconds down the street, and his parents live 30 seconds down the street, and so does all his brothers. His sister lives diagonal from us. So we're all here. We always see each other. They always baby him because he's the third grandchild on his dad's side, and he's the only grandchild on my side of the family. So he gets babied and spoiled, and they absolutely love him. They come to all his games, whether it's soccer, basketball, travel. They're always there rooting for him and cheering him on. So
yeah. No, that sounds amazing. Kyle, do you want to add anything to that?
Thank you for listening to the PIP-UK podcast. I'm part of the PIP-UK community as my own daughter has Poland syndrome. PIP-UK provides vital support by connecting families and raising awareness, but we can only do that with your help. If you found value in these conversations, please consider supporting us by making a donation, volunteering, or even joining our committee. Every bit of support strengthens this community. Visit pip-uk.org to get involved.
Yeah, like she was saying, it was just everybody was just constantly like, don't worry, to the point we had to like tell everyone, we're not worried. We promise. We're not worried. Even people were like, kind of like, oh, we could tell you're hiding his hand in pictures. Where we had to be like, are you kidding me? No, we're not hiding his hand. We're like, we actually love it. We always tell him like, it makes you different. It makes you special, quote unquote. Like, it's better, like we love it. And everything he does is great, So, but yeah, we have a huge family. He's like the new big cousin. Like he takes care of all the little cousins love him. They all go nuts whenever Connor's around. Whenever his big family parties and the adults are all hanging out, he's always hanging out with all the kids, taking care of all his little nieces and nephews. Yeah.
Amazing.
He's a great big cousin.
No, and it's so great to hear because, I feel like a lot of, it's like what you were saying, you guys sound like a very strong family, very confident and positive and everything. And I think sometimes when things happen, people just automatically assume that you're going to need that support. And I think it comes from, good intentions. But again, I can relate so much because for me, I never really struggled with confidence around that. The way my parents dealt with it was very much like everyone knew, like in our my family is very small, but it was never this secret. It was just, I didn't know any difference. But again, I got so much confidence from being good at sports, so I focused more on like what my body could do rather than what it looked like. Then obviously the teenage years, that's interesting. We'll get into that later. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, sometimes when things happen, it doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be a sad thing. Like you were saying, Carl, like it makes people like us different. Like it makes everything that we achieve so much sweeter and so much better because it's like, hey, I'm missing a pec muscle, but I can swim faster than you and you have all your faculties. Do you know what I mean? So, and I can imagine that's how Connor feels as well and how you guys as parents feel as well. It's like, look at this kid doing all this badass stuff. And, it's great. So I love hearing, the confidence from you guys as a family where it's like, appreciate your support, but we're actually really good. But I do want to ask just the last question on kind of the whole surgical process. So, I think what's interesting with Poland syndrome is that a lot of surgeons, and I guess it depends on the severity of the Poland syndrome and what part of the area it's affecting. But a lot of surgeons want to get surgeries done ASAP. And I think that can cause difficulties sometimes because people are developing, right? And so in my case, I got my surgery when I was 18 because I'd fully developed. If I'd gotten it earlier, I would have to keep going back for surgeries. I think in Connor's case, it's a little bit different. Did you guys expect to go for follow-up surgeries or did you think it would be kind of this one and done?
No, well, the first surgery was just the webbing, the unwebbing of the hand. And then it's kind of cool because a long time ago, like after Connor was born, after his first surgery, I met with a medium. I had like a medium come to the house and like do a reading and whatnot. And she was the one that told me that he was going to need another surgery. And I'm like, no, he's not. Like, he's good. And then we went for his follow-up because at that time, he goes every year. And then at that time, they're like, oh, he's going to need another surgery because he's growing so big, so quick that he needs a range of movement for his thumb. Like, he needed enough range to like be able to grasp things and stuff. So we weren't expecting that surgery at all. You know, like we thought when he did get older. So yeah, because of his growth spurt, he needed a second surgery. And then the orthopedic surgeon said, like his ring finger is just fat. It's just there. There's no, I think the bone stops underneath the knuckle right there. So the top part is just, you know, and so cartilage and muscle, you know, but so the doctor said, like, it's up to him. If he wants to do a surgery for that finger, they would put like a metal rod so that they can make it straight. And then, you know, but then he wouldn't be able to bend it like he is able to bend it now. And then when he's 21, if he wants to get a pec implant, he can do that too, but he has to wait until he fully develops.
Yes.
So, and Connor said, no, I'm fine with the ring fingers. Like, no, I don't need the surgery. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Connor, I'm actually going to pass the mic to you for a bit. Because again, it's nice because like, I feel like in some way we both have similar experiences. So for me, again, I grew up, that's just how I was. I didn't know anything different. You know, for you as a kid growing up, like how was that? I mean, your parents were telling me about how you handle a lot of things with humor, which I think is great. But tell me a little bit about when you were a kid, like how that was.
I just feel like no one really in my school made fun of it. I feel like the only people that made fun of it is people out of town that I never knew. Like everyone in my school, I knew them since I was like 4, so no one's all my friends know about it, and people that don't know about it don't say anything about it. They don't really mention it. If anything, they'll just be like, were you born like that? I'll just be like, yeah. And they'll just be like, oh, that's cool. Like, they'll tell me that, like, I'm cool and I'm different. And they, like, want to be around me, like, type of people like me.
That's amazing. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you can go ahead.
I just wanted to say it's so incredible because, you know, whether people are hand affected or chest affected, oftentimes I find when I ask them questions of how did people react when you told them, especially when people are just chest affected, right? Because you can hide it a lot more. And then when you come out to someone, oftentimes people's reactions are so much milder than what we expect it to be, right? But I guess it helps in your case because everyone you've known since you were little. So it's kind of like you grew up with it and they kind of also grew up around it as well.
Yeah, no one's ever, because I go to the pool, like community pool, and I take off my shirt and everyone sees it and they don't like say anything about it. Like I'm never insecure about it. I'll never be.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So passing it back to the parents, were you guys ever worried about the potential of bullying happening? Because let's be real, kids in general sometimes suck with that kind of stuff. And, you know, I think that's just a general concern anyways. Were you worried about that at all with Kyle?
Of course, like regardless of the fact if he didn't have the hands, the Poland syndrome, or the chest, if he was like, no matter what, kids are kids, they're gonna be mean. So that fear intensified for me and Kai like 100 times more because growing up, being bullied, I was bullied because I had buck teeth before I got the braces, you know? So I'm like, oh my God, the kids are gonna be so cruel to him. So like, you know, instead of waiting for him to start school and waiting to see what was going to happen, we said, let's get proactive about it. Let's do sports. Like, cause our town has a town sports, you know, community sport, recreational sports. So we did t-ball and I'm like, babe, like, I'm scared. Like, what happens if like the coaches are mean to him? And so Kyle was like, I'll coach the team. No big deal. So he signed up to be the coach. And so he was the coach and it was nothing. Like Connor went up to the t-ball, hit the ball and ran, you know, it was like the cutest little thing, a little 4-year-old playing t-ball. And then my husband loved it. Kyle loved coaching the little kids. Like he should have been a gym teacher or something for like elementary because he loves with hanging out and like coaching the kids. But So then we did soccer, and then he signed up to coach that, and then little by little, and then in New Jersey, because of his Poland syndrome, he was able to go to school, like preschool, like pre-K, it's called, like a pre-K for free, so he can get occupational therapy and physical therapy through the school systems. So he was going to like preschool at like 3 years old or 4 years old. He was going. So he was doing, and he was getting the therapies at school. And then he loves school. He loves making friends. Even as a little kid, to this day, like when we go away on vacation, like I said, I'm Argentinian and my husband's Irish. So we speak English here, but we go to Punta Cana, and I have to be the translator because he'll just go up to random kids and say, hey, you want to play? And so I have to hang out with him and the little friends in the resort because I have to translate the entire time. So he's super, super confident. He doesn't even, I'm telling you, he probably doesn't even think that, oh, I'm somebody with Poland syndrome. He just thinks himself as Connor.
Yeah. That's the best thing, right? Because it doesn't matter whether it's something like Poland syndrome or, say, for instance, people who struggle with depression or ADHD or whatever the case is. You're always a person that has something, right? You're not that thing. So I absolutely, absolutely love that. Kyle, you're Irish. Do you watch rugby?
A little bit. Every once in a while it's on here. It's really not that on here that much. But every once in a while I'll see it. Like MetLife Stadium is our closest stadium. I don't know if you know NFL, but Giants football is their stadium. We're big Giant fans. We go to Giant games every year, like diehard Giant fans. But I've seen there was a couple every once in a while there'll be a game there, rugby. So I've watched on TV. Yes. I don't really understand the rules. I try to understand it, but it is really cool. I do like watching it once in a while when it's on.
Yeah. No, the reason I ask is because they just had the Six Nations end last night, which is England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, France, and Italy. And Ireland almost won. So that would have been something to celebrate for. But,
Yeah, I would have watched that. We have St. Patrick's Day here in a couple of days too, actually.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so that would have been perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Double celebration. But Carl, I want to ask before I pass the mic over to Connor, do you feel like getting Connor into sports so young really helped with, it sounds like, again, you guys are confident, very social people, Irish, Argentinian, like there's no space to not be social. But do you feel like that, exposure to sports at a young age helped in some way?
Yeah, definitely. The only sport I was a little bit worried about was football, just because with his chest, I was nervous maybe once he got to tackle that it could affect him at all. And I actually went on Facebook. I joined a Poland syndrome page and I started messaging a bunch of different people. Like, there was a bunch of groups about, where it was kids, adults. And I was, mentioned that I'm going to sign my son up to football and he's going to start tackle. And so many people started commenting, like kids that were 18, 17, that were letting me know they played football their whole life. They never had any issues. And that's also where I found out that you're either right side or left side defective from seeing so many people talk about it. But yeah, I think doing sports helped his confidence, showed him he could do exactly what everyone else could do. Because I can never remember in 13 years him ever saying, I can't do it because of this. Even now, dribbling's like his hardest thing. And I have to remind him, like, it's okay to not be as good as everyone dribbling. Like, your one hand's, it's hard and you still do it. Like he doesn't ever give himself an excuse for anything. So it just shows his character that he never looks for that to be an excuse. So we have to actually tell him to use that. Like that makes it even better for you. That makes it even more cool for you,
100%. And I think, obviously I'm very pro sport, so I can be biased, but obviously getting into sport from a young age helps from a developmental aspect. But I feel like it also really builds that mentality of like what you were saying, like there's no excuses. And, if someone else can do it, there's no reason why I can't do it, even if I have to work a little bit harder or be a little bit more creative with how I move or whatever the case is. But I feel like that's such a cool thing about sport. Connor, I don't know how you're 5'8" at 13. Like that actually upsets me. that should be impossible, but at least you're into basketball because I feel like that suits it really well. But do you feel like getting into sport at a young age did help with that confidence or, make you feel like you can focus more on what your body can do rather than what it looks like?
I feel like I don't know. I feel like if I didn't do sports, I'd still be confident, but it definitely helped a little bit because I'm always confident in what I do, whether it's like hanging out, anything. Like I don't really feel like it boosted my self-esteem, but I love sports because I love playing with my friends and doing the things I love. Because basketball
Yeah.
is like my favorite sport. I've always loved it.
Yeah. How are you so confident at 13? I feel like this is the age where, you know, there should be some kind of doubt or something. Tell me your secrets. Honestly, I love it.
I mean, I guess my height is also something because everyone's always like, "Dang, you're so tall!" Like, everyone tells me how tall I like teachers, people I just meet. Like, I don't know. I just feel like my height is like people always say I have such a nice personality and I'm a good kid. I feel like that also helps me like boost my self-esteem. And,
Yeah.
like my friends tell me like I'm someone they want to be around because like I'm very energetic and polite and friendly. Like I love to help people and I like doing the things I love with me, my family, my friends.
That is true. Very true.
Parents, you should be so proud of yourself. What a lovely young man. Honestly, seriously. That is incredible. And I mean, just from speaking to you now, I can definitely understand why people want to be around you and why your friends absolutely love you. And again, I'm joking around and saying like being a teenager is already hard as it is, but to have the mindset that you're having at 13 is honestly, I studied psychology, so it is genuinely incredible. Carl, Deborah, you guys should be proud of your son, and Connor, you should be proud of yourself. But on that topic, if anyone has ever said anything to you about, your Poland syndrome, how did you react to that? I know we were speaking a little bit about using humor. Talk me through that kind of process a little bit.
I feel like for a while now, no one has ever been mean. People are just asking in a polite way. But if someone was mean, I would just like joke around with them and like I would say like, "Oh, a shark bit off my fingers," or like my dad ate them, or I left them at home. And I just joke around. But the last time that happened was a while ago.
Like
now,
4th grade.
Yeah, but now people just ask politely because like I go out to the pool with my shirt off, or like if I'm out and people see it, like they'll just ask me and I just tell them the straight up answer.
Yeah.
A lot of your cousins didn't even know.
Yeah, a lot of my cousins don't even know. Like, so like this day they'll be like, "So what happened?" Like out on like either New Year's Eve or Christmas last year, they asked me what happened, and like me and my dad told them what happened.
Like they didn't even realize. They just see him as Connor. They don't see him as somebody that's missing a finger or anything. I think we were like sitting down eating dinner during New Year's Eve, and one of his little cousins went up to him and was like, "Connor, where's your fingers?" And then that's when he said like, "Oh, my dad was hungry." And then he was like, "What?" And then he looked at Kyle and was like, "Uncle Kai, you ate his fingers?" And then Connor was like, "I'm just joking. God made me this way." So his cousins, nobody really notices, honestly. And when they do ask him, and he's just honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, a lot of the times, even as kids or teenagers, and even as adults, people are genuinely just interested because, it's something that they've probably never seen before. And sometimes people get awkward about it. But oftentimes when people are asking, it's like what Connor was saying, like they're just inquisitive. And then you end up telling them and then they're like, okay, cool. And then, never comes up in conversation again.
Yeah.
But I want to ask parents, the way Connor's dealing with it and his confidence and his humor and personality and all of that around it, do you feel like that's also a reflection of the way you guys dealt with it as parents? Or do you feel like that's just Connor's own kind of personal way of dealing with it?
I think it's a little bit of how we kind of told him and everything, but I think it's more of just his personality. Like going back to the bullying thing, my biggest worry with him was that he was going to have my personality. When I was growing up, I was so shy. Like everyone that I went to school with knows me as one of the a giant fan. Everyone knows me as a giant fan, but always as a very shy person. Like
quiet.
I was always so worried that he was going to be so shy, and like especially having Poland syndrome, like he's going to be shy, he's going to be like nervous. Like I would get anxiety if I was late to a class. I didn't want to walk into the class because I was like, everyone's going to turn around and look at me when I would walk in. And my wife was the complete opposite. So luckily he got her. He definitely got her personality that way. Like he's very confident to walk into a room and make a joke. Like she was always like that. Like
yeah, we've been together since we were in 6th grade.
Yeah.
Middle school sweethearts.
No way. So what? 12 years old?
13.
13. So Connor's age. Wow.
2001. I was the quietest one. She was always the loudest one in the classroom.
Opposites attract.
Yeah.
So you guys started dating then?
Yeah.
At 13. Oh my! You guys beat me. Beat me by 3 years.
Yeah. It's crazy.
No, that's so
And
sweet.
both our parents too met each other when they were in middle school, just like us.
But I feel like that also helps a lot in terms of, that building that strength in that relationship. You guys have been together for so long. So it's not like you were together for 2 years or whatever, had Connor, and then it's like figuring this out, as kind of like newlyweds. So I feel like that dynamic also probably helped a bit as well.
Yeah. And we got married. Well, we were engaged when we got engaged at 18. And then I wanted to finish college. So I said, like, and then, life happened. So we ended up having like almost like we got married in 12. Yeah. And then, and we were living together at 18. So we lived together for so long. And then, he's my best friend, and I'm hoping I'm his best friend. Just kidding. And so that also helped too. Like the fact that like, we knew we had each other to trust, to lean on. Anything I could worry, if I had any worries or doubts, like he would reassure me that everything's going to be okay. So the fact, so we were married, and he's a honeymoon baby. So
cute.
Yeah. So, but we were together for such a long time, and I think that also helped. Like, like you said, it wasn't like we got married and then we met really quick, got married, and then, and didn't know each other that well. Like we knew each other since we were 13 years old. I think we've been together longer than we haven't been together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you guys, obviously you sound like an amazing family. Honestly, you guys, it sounds like there's a lot of love. There's a lot of confidence, all of that. Are there any kind of concerns looking forward for both, you guys as parents, and then, for Connor as well, that maybe our listeners would maybe, relate to? Or do you guys feel like, no, you've pretty much got it figured out?
Well, for me, it's like, so for example, in school.
Sorry, Deborah. I just wanted to ask if Paul could mute, but he's muted now.
Okay. I was going to say, first, like right now in school, like because of the whole COVID situation, they transferred over to laptops, their Chromebooks. So instead of actually writing a story or whatnot, like they have to type it. So the school thought the best way for him, like, because he has an IEP, a 504 medical plan to help him due to his Poland syndrome. So they said, he can like text to type, like what we're doing now, using the headphones and like text to type. But the thing is, it picks up all the other surrounding noises. So like his stories never made sense. So he would have to come at night and we would have to reread it. And then I would have to help him like figure out what he was trying to say in his story. So that's a little bit of my fear. He could type, don't get me wrong, but like, I'm afraid that they're going to hire someone over him because of his situation, So that's my only fear. Other than that, like, he's amazing. He's such a wonderful personality. He's so friendly and amazing and warm-hearted. He's literally 2 days ago, we got a random text message on Facebook saying how sweet he is. Like he was like a bunch of kids were hanging out and being kids, obviously. And there was a mother with a stroller and a baby. And he was the only one out of the kids to hold the door open for the mother and the baby to walk in first before he walked in. And like, I get messages like that randomly, sporadically throughout, like, oh, is your son so-and-so? Because he did this for me today. He's so sweet. Or my daughter fell and she got hurt and he like helped her find me. And he was so kind to her, So
yeah.
In that sense, I think he's okay. But in the workforce, even though there is you can't discriminate against someone with a disability, that doesn't mean that it won't happen.
No. I mean, I was chatting to someone the other day. He lives in China, and he was saying they refused, because he was also hand affected. They refused to give him a driver's license it was his GP, and the GP said, nope, I refuse to allow you to, I don't know if he had to go for like an examination before he went to, to get his license. But the GP said, I will not have you, causing accidents and basically killing people on my conscience, kind of thing. And so I think these things happen. I think, it also depends where in the world you are. And I think luckily in America, I feel as if, there is a lot of, progress with, understanding things like that. And even with the evolution of tech and everything, I'm pretty sure things will be okay.
Yeah, like he goes out riding bikes in the summer with his friends. For some reason, all the brakes come on the right side. So
yeah.
So Kyle luckily just moves the brake onto the left. So no big deal. And for Christmas this year, he got a scooter. So he rides the scooter perfectly fine, which is basically almost, like a car. It goes like 10 miles an hour, 15. So it's like, but he can drive it. He hits the brakes. It's fine. So I think that guy that you had the interview with, like, that's ridiculous. There's no need, no reason. Because a lot of people just drive with one hand. Like I drive with one hand,
Yeah. And also, we're really, a lot of people are just adopting automatic vehicles anyway. So you don't need to like change a gear shift or anything. So yeah. But Kyle, Dad, any concerns or any thoughts for you kind of going into the future?
No, not at all. Honestly, he's so confident and he surprises me every day. Like I have no fear at all for him. I think he's.
I love you guys so much. You guys are so awesome. Adopt me. No, just joking. Well, that sounds great. And now, it's 45 minutes already. That flew by. Just as we're kind of finishing off the podcast, I mean, the thing that is really sticking out to me, obviously, is just your love and your confidence and your positivity as a family. I know for a fact that so many people in the community struggle with things like that. They struggle with self-acceptance, they struggle with that confidence, they struggle with that vulnerability, and sharing with people what they're going through. Do you, parents, and then I'll pass it on to Connor, parents, do you have any advice for any other parents who might be in a similar situation and might be struggling with, that confidence or that self-assurance that you guys have as a team, and then also obviously as parents, to Connor?
I think the biggest thing is just confidence. As much as you could with your children, give them confidence to do everything they want to do, and there's no reason to ever feel held back. And unfortunately, I think it's a kid by kid basis. Like we really lucked out with Connor. His personality is so great. He's got such a good heart. But I think that's the biggest thing, just confidence and doing whatever you could to help them get out in the world and do what everyone else is doing. Never hold them back for any reason.
I love that.
And also don't baby them. You know what I mean? Like don't baby them. Don't tie their shoes for them. Make them do it. Make them zip up their own jacket. Don't cut their food. Just treat them treat it like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Would you treat him different if he wasn't affected, left side or right side affected? No. So treat him as you would. And also get him the occupational therapy as soon as possible and the physical therapy as soon as possible, whether it's private through your insurance plans. I don't know how it is in other countries, or if you could do it through the public school systems. And also, I think the family support, having the family as a support, my parents, his siblings, or like the cousins, everyone, like they never treated him different. They never saw him as someone with a disability. That helps a lot too, like if you don't treat them like they have a disability, they won't feel like they have one. So just remain calm and always find support within your family and your spouse.
Yeah, I love that. And before I pass it on to Connor, I'm sure a lot of people will be, wondering about, how to get to a decision of having surgery or not. I know that is something that comes up a lot. So what would your advice be for parents who might be a little bit nervous to have their children go through surgery so early? If they want surgery, if they don't want surgery, what advice would you have for them to help them with that decision-making process?
The surgery is not to hurt them. It's to enhance them and to make them better. Imagine Connor at like 2 or 3 years old with webbed fingers and not being able to have that range of movement. So when he was doing his occupational therapy and physical therapy, he wouldn't even be able to get some of the exercises done because of the fact. So just keep it in the back of your head that you're not doing anything to harm the child. You're just doing something to better enhance them and help them throughout their lives in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's also better the younger to get it over with, the better, because the less, like, we always planned it at like 6 a.m. That way he would be sleeping. He slept the whole car ride. I remember actually feeling so bad the second time we went, and he was still like 3 or 4. The second time we went, we got to the underground. It was like an underground parking at the hospital in Philadelphia. When I took him out of the car, he opened his eyes. He was like, "We're here again." Like, he knew, he remembered it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Oh no, poor baby."
Just
But
close your eyes.
Yeah, like once you get through it, it's like, at least it's over, you know? We still have his cast from when he was a baby. I actually showed him a couple weeks ago. I found him up there all signed by all his cousins and everything. And a big thing, I'm rambling off, but a big thing with him after his surgery was when they took the cast off, he had stitches on his hand, and he did not like it. It scared him a lot. So we would have to put a sock on his hand, because that's what we put, a sock over the cast, because he would scratch himself. So he would want the sock on even though the cast was off, because he was so afraid of the stitches. So what I would do is, like, we would always wrestle around on our bed and everything. And like, I would, if he had a ball, I would like throw it and he'd get it. I purposely took the sock off and like was like, and held his other hand. So I was like, the only way you can get the ball is if you use that hand. And he did it. And then he was like, "It doesn't hurt. I can do this." And after that, he was good to go.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I love that. Connor, last question for you. For any kid who might be listening to this, whether they're just hand affected or chest affected or both, I mean, you obviously have an amazing personality and you're super confident, all of those things. If someone wasn't like that, what type of advice would you give to them to just kind of help them build that confidence a little bit, or help them not be so afraid of, maybe getting bullied at school? What advice would you give to them?
I would just tell them to live it to your fullest. Like, don't let it bring you down. Like, whatever brings you down, you need to build it back up with what you have. So if someone at school brings you down, come home and talk to maybe your parents or whoever you have at home and build you up, help them. And it's not just what you're doing, it's the people around you that's what help you doing. Like, I don't know what I would do without my mom, my dad, my cousins, like
Your grandparents.
My grandparents, everyone. Because I know I have a good personality, and even though I stick through it, the bullying and stuff, it's just, I don't know what I would do without the things that they help me, like how they help me encourage myself to stick up to the bullies, or how my older cousins told me what to do, or my friends back me up whenever, something's happening. So with the people around me, I don't know, but I would just tell them to like live life to your fullest. Like, don't let it stop you. Like, never let anything bring you down.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I'm sure Mom is smiling from ear to ear. She's so proud of you. No, honestly, I mean, that's great advice for anyone, let alone kids. So thank you for that. That's incredible. And, I think this is why the Poland syndrome communities are so important as well, is because not only are we providing people with medical research that may not have been available previously, but we also do provide obviously that support structure in that community, for people who might not have a family at home to confide in or ask questions. That's why these communities are so great, and why social media in this regard is so great. So for anyone that wants to find out more information, please go and check out PIP's Instagram and the Facebook page as well, and all of the amazing work that Sam is doing. And to the Baker family, thank you so much for giving me your time today and sharing your story. Honestly, you guys are just so incredible as people, and it's honestly been such a blessing to sit down and hear your story from all three of you. And like I said, I am such a fan of positivity and confidence and sports and everything. So this chat definitely resonated with me a lot. So thank you so much from my side.
Well, thank you for having us today.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Okay, I'm just going to end the recording now. Before we go, remember, when you support our UK clinics, you aren't just helping one family. You are funding the work towards a global center of excellence. We document every clinical breakthrough in Birmingham to share that expertise with doctors in the US, South Africa, and beyond. We are building the future of Poland syndrome care together. Please share this episode with one person who needs to hear Connor's story. Let's turn awareness into impact. See you in the next episode.